All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're jumping back on the boat, doing some boat stuff today. I'm going to show you guys some improvements I've made to the Grady White here, as well as we are going to do some improvements. I'm going to be installing 2 more speakers today. I rewired the whole console. I installed some rod holders, so I'm going to show you guys all that. I've taken it out once so far. It's a big improvement. It's really nice having music on the boat, as well as having extra rod holders. And I got a nice Fusion head unit on there, and we're gonna go through the boat. I'm gonna show you the upgrades, talk about what I did, how I did it, as well as show you guys how to install a couple of speakers on the boat. So let's go. Another thing, I have a couple of gel coat cracks right here. Need to grind this down, add some gloss and re-gel coat it, re-non-skid it. If that's something you're interested in, you'd like to see a video of that, I know there's other videos on YouTube if you want to see that, but if you'd like to see that video, drop a comment below and let me know. And I could definitely make a video doing some gel coat work and fixing up some of the cosmetic issues that we have going on in this boat since we built it. So yeah, drop a comment, let me know. So rod holders, speakers that we installed the other day, super simple plastic rod holders through bolted to the console, as well as a couple speakers here in the console. We have 2 non-matching JL audio speakers here, and we're going to be adding 2 more speakers up here to the bow. The other speakers I have are Fusion speakers, so we're going to have 2 JLs, 2 Fusions. The reason I'm doing that is because all the speakers I've gotten and I'm put on this boat I've gotten for free from somewhere. Someone giving them to me, don't need them anymore. And if it's for free, it's for me. So now we're going to jump into the console. I'm going to pull a couple things out of here and then show you guys how I cleaned up all the wiring and how it looks a lot better. All right, so diving into the console here, I got my oil reservoir secured down. Battery needs to be secured better. Maybe we can do that in the video today. I'm thinking about just adding some PVC board strips along the sides to keep it from being able to slide. I have this PVC board. I have all the stuff I could do that today. So stay tuned. I might do that as well, show you how I do that. But if we just look at the wiring here, it's definitely not perfect, but the key with wiring is just to not have a big rat's nest, make it easy to figure out where things are going and what is for what. So obviously we have our power coming into our ground and our power switch. That goes to this. This is going to be our head unit and our stereo. It's going to run up here to our stereo. And then you have your power going into your fuse panel. And then I set it up with power coming out to the fuse panel, which is all these red wires here. That's going into the switch, and then when you turn the switch on, power comes out of these ones here and goes to whatever it is it's turning on. Still don't have a lot of electronics on this boat, mainly just a bilge pump and some nav lights. So that's why this is pretty thin. But whenever I'm ready to add something, plug it into the switch, run the wire to whatever it is I need to turn on, and then we're good to go. You can see our speakers, nice clean wiring. I also have this extra wiring from the engine wiring harness because this engine and wiring harness came off a bigger boat. So that's why all that excess is there, just coiled up out of the way. So nice, simple Fusion AV750. I think these big ones go up to a 755, but this is nice. It's got a nice color screen, Bluetooth, and everything works good there. And put some new speakers up here. We're gonna run some wires underneath the gunnels here through our rigging tube into our console. We're also gonna show you guys how we cut the holes, mount them, and run the wires and do all that. So before I start cutting holes and running wires, I'm gonna make sure I have enough wire. This spool is getting kind of low. So basically what I'm gonna do is pull it out of the spool, take out some extra, run it back and forth here, and just make sure we got enough before I start cutting holes in the boat. I got a feeling that I do not have enough wire, but I really hope I do. I gotta do 2 runs. So this is basically gonna go about something like that much. Maybe I can jump the wires from one speaker to the next so I don't have to do 2 full runs. I'm gonna make a phone call with my buddy, check to make sure that's I'm sure that's fine. We're gonna double check. All right, so just talked to master mechanic, boat electrician Tony, and it is okay to do jump wires from one speaker to the next. So that is what we're gonna be doing if we don't have enough. We will try and do full runs, but if we don't, we could do that and save a bunch of wiring. And another thing he said too, when just jumping how my stereo's coming, you know, I'm just getting my amperage from the head unit, no separate amp, so it's not gonna make a difference doing the jump. If you had like a really big stereo system with amps and stuff, you might hear a difference, but with this setup, it's not gonna make a difference. So we're good to go. Let's get to work. All right, some tools needed for the job here. We're gonna be cutting the holes with a jigsaw. We're gonna have to drill out a pilot hole first with our drill. Sorry, my hand was right in the way, didn't realize. We got drill bits, impact bits for when we put the screws in, wire strippers, crimpers, got a razor blade, zip ties from when we pull wires, wire snake, butt connectors, heat shrink, some markers to mark it, measure on the wall up there. And yeah, let's get her going. Get that anchor out of the way. So kind of want to find a center point here, which this is probably going to be a little uneven. So I'm going to find it from here. Looks like this hatch is 25 inches wide. So we're looking at 12.5 inches for the center. And then half of 12.5. It's gonna be 6.25. All right, so these speakers are a little bit different than JL ones. Have wires coming off of them, not little terminal connections. So shouldn't be too bad though. We'll figure it out. But basically, something like that. I should have my level to make sure this is straight, but I don't have it. I'll go grab it. All right. So now our marks are straight. So ideally when cutting these, you would want a hole saw. Big hole saw would make it way easier. We don't have one of those. If you go to Home Depot, they're like $45. So what I did with the other ones is I looked up the hole saw diameter, and then I measured out the circle because I don't have a circle template or anything like that. And just putting it up and trying to mark it is pretty difficult. I'm sure there's a way to make it easy, but I don't know how to do that. So, all right, so looks like it's the same size as the JL. It's gonna be a 5-inch to 5.25 inch hole saw. We're gonna cut 5-inch holes, and basically to do that is I take my center point and I measure 2.5 inches out, 2.5 inches out, all the way around from my center point. Makes a 5-inch circle. Definitely more work than just having a hole saw, but it worked the first time I did it, so hopefully it'll work again. So as you can see here, that's a circle. I would imagine doing like some 2.5-inch piece of string, probably make it real easy as well. But this works, and it works for speakers because you have some room for error. You know, they give you about 3/4 of an inch there where you could be off and it'll still work, your screws will still catch. So as I'm sitting back here looking at these holes, they're definitely not level. And then I realized that the boat's not level. So yeah, it was probably more accurate before I busted out the level because I just measured it. But basically, I'm gonna have to redo this left one. Left one's gonna be low. Gonna redo that one. All right, so remeasure that next one. And now I'm sitting here looking at them. I think I want them up a little bit. I think it might be nicer to have them up some. That way, if I did want to come through and add like a sub right here later, I would have the option to do that. This right here in the middle kind of limits me. I won't be able to do anything else after this. And this would be a good spot for a sub because this is a nice solid piece here. Not a whole lot that could rattle up here except for the anchor. So we might do that. I think we might move them up. And I think I'm gonna just trace this out and cut out these circles, and then I'll have a template, 5-inch circle to trace. Alrighty, so after some mistakes and some changes, this one further to the left is gonna be our circle. Once we cut that one, then we're just gonna take that piece, trace it over here. It's freaking hot out here. But first thing we gotta do, make sure we have a good battery. Now this battery's dead. Alrighty, so we got both speaker hole cut. Alright, so we got both speaker holes cut. Fiberglass everywhere. Highly recommend wearing some type of respirator so you don't breathe in fiberglass. I try and hold my breath the whole time. I know that's not ideal, but it is what it is. The marker that I use is just dry erase marker, so it'll wash off with water. We're throwing some painter's tape on here. Something's getting caught up. So hopefully this will make it a little more streamlined. Aha! Look at that. We got our wires now ran to the console. If you guys haven't watched my other video, turning a free boat into a fishing machine or something like that, I talk about how I messed up the rigging tubes on this boat. Go back and watch that because you will save yourself a ton of hassle if you don't do what I did. So this is 14-2 wire. It's 14 gauge wire with two pieces together basically. We're going to strip these a little big. I guess these don't need to be big actually. So we're going to double up these little wires. These ones, the speakers coming off the, or the wires coming off the speakers are 18 gauge. So we'll put those into a 14 gauge butt connector. Two of them, and 2 18s should fill the 14 gauge butt connector perfect, because the 14 gauge butt connectors are 14 to 16, I believe. It might even be 12 to 16, but heat shrink butt connectors always heat shrink on top of the heat shrink butt connectors, just to make sure we got a good watertight seal. Little crimp there. If you're planning on doing a big wiring job, buy some nice crimpers and buy nicer strippers than these two. Make your life a lot easier. If you have the extra money to spend, that is. And if you don't have the extra money, well then make do with what you got, like I do. Alright, so there's our finished setup. This red and black one's coming from the other speaker. These are the speakers going in here. These are going to be our power to the speaker. Doesn't look the prettiest, but it's all connected. It's not pulling apart. It's going to be watertight. Typically when your wire looks like this, you should definitely expect for your boat to catch on fire at some point. I've kind of been expecting that for a while, so kind of just going to wait and see. And wish, say our prayers, hope for the best. Alright, so now we're in the console. Sorry if there's an echo, but basically we're gonna clean up the wires in here for these new two speakers. We're gonna wire it up into the head unit up here. I did green and white off the harness for the first 2 speakers. And for these 2 speakers, I think we're going to do the gray ones. So basically, the wires that come off your head unit, any 2 that are the same color, you'll have, like for example, these are both gray, but one's gray with a black stripe. The black stripe's your negative one. Your one without the black stripe's your positive. So it makes it real easy. Probably just pull these out of here. Bada bing, bada boom. I don't know if you guys can see that, but these 2 wires will hook up to our new speakers. Once again, these are like an 18 gauge wire, and we're going to a 14 gauge. So we'll strip these long, double them back on itself, so there's twice as much copper there for more of the butt connector to grip onto. And we're gonna run these wires nice and tight, throw in some more zip ties with these other wires, and probably won't film this, and I'll just come back to you guys and show you the finished product when we're done. All right, this is our new speakers. We ran them just right along with the other ones, got them all zip tied up. Butt connector, we're gonna heat these, then slide these over, heat these, and zip tie it up in there with the rest of it. But right now we're going to turn the battery switch on, test the speakers, make sure they work. All right, so we just finished testing everything. Everything worked good. Boat did not catch on fire. That's check number 1. Check number 2, speakers sounded good and worked good. Basically all we're gonna do next is clean up the boat. We're gonna put screws in. We're gonna put some sealant around each speaker. Then we'll put the covers on. We're gonna finish cleaning up the wiring in here. I don't know if you guys watched my initial video that I made on this boat, but definitely a big improvement on the wiring. Nice improvement with the rod holders and the speakers. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, drop a comment below, drop a like, hit that subscribe button. More boat content, more fishing content. I also would like to do car content as well if you're interested in that. You know, I have a Toyota Tundra 1st gen. My wife's got a 4Runner. I'd love to do some modifications on those trucks and show you guys the process. If you're interested in that, drop a comment. Remember, never regret a day in your life. Always trust God's plan. Thank you for watching. Until next time.